Hello and welcome to the European Centre of Total Quality Management. The Centre has always had a tradition of organizing innovative products and initiatives to help industry absorb new ideas and practices which are proven and which are based on world-class standards. We decided to launch an initiative by the name of Excellence 001, which is aimed at industries of all sizes and covering different sectors. The aim of Excellence 001 is really to convince senior managers that in the pursuit of excellence and raising competitive standards, they have to use an integrative, holistic, rigorous, continuous set of programs and initiatives to serve their corporate strategies and to deliver value to their customers and stakeholders. The proposition that we're making, therefore, through this initiative is that excellence resides in the spirit of using all the drivers, all the capabilities at the disposal of any organization, and particularly those that will deliver continuous and sustainable value to the customers and benefits to the organization. And the premise that we make through this series is that there are pillars of success that organizations need to focus on and pay attention to if they wish to become excellent. This session concerns itself with the application of modern management principles wider than the traditionally manufacturing-based sectors. And for example, in the public sector, there are loads of best practices, and we want to demonstrate that the public sector can tremendously benefit from using modern management principles. I hope you enjoy this series that we put together for you, and I hope that you will manage to absorb the principle itself, to derive some ideas and benefits from these first-hand best practice experiences that we've compiled together. And more importantly, I hope that these ideas can serve the purpose of assisting you in putting together improvement action plans and hopefully in the pursuit of excellence in your organizations.
We all depend on the public sector, and if we stop to think about the value of the public sector to society, to ourselves, to our families, we would realize that there is no nation that can function without its public sector. It is therefore significant. The exciting thing is that the public sector now has closed the gap in terms of how organizations are run, how they function, and basically in terms of best practices. I mean, I remember the days when knowledge and creation was the privilege of the private sector, and many sectors, many aspects of the public sector were a laughingstock. You know, we look at them from a cynical perspective, and we don't appreciate what they do. And I think that is changing. There is a revolution going out there, and I think Ken tonight will tell us some of the aspects that are truly revolutionizing the public sector, and therefore creating a very exciting time for all of us to see that the theme is about the customer, and the theme is about rendering value to communities, to society, and to ourselves as individuals. And I think hopefully in the next few years we will cease to differentiate between the public sector and the private sector enterprise or mentality, if you like, because as I said, the gap is closing very fast. I'm not an expert on public sector management. That's why I have invited my colleague Ken, and Barbara will be around for the mingling, if you like, following on from the session. So you have the chance to talk to them and ask them questions and find out a little bit more. So I'm very pleased to have them here to tell us from, if you like, their own experiences and the expertise that they have in the field. And because of that, I just want to make one statement about the public sector. This is something I picked from the internet. Ken might be to tell me, well, Mohammed, it's already outdated. But I think the message from my perspective is that the government's goals, as far as the public sector is concerned, is to render value, is to make services accessible, first of all, to people, but also to make sure that those services are delivered sensitively, with quality, with efficiency, with effectiveness, whether in a timely and innovative manner. That's what it is about. So it is a theme that is putting the customer first. It is about giving us choice as consumers of those services. It is about modernization. Public sector is about using those technologies, about access to the internet. It's about doing things from the comfort of your home. And why not? It is about accountability, value for money. It is about best value. It's about competitiveness, about market testing. It's about those things. And I think the thing that also excites me is that the public sector is about partnership. I mean, we hear about the importance of the private sector in the healthcare service, for example, building hospitals, or in the education sector, for example, running facilities, running schools. And I think that is healthy. And the vice versa. I would like to see one day that the public sector is offering services to the private sector. Maybe it's already happening, and maybe Ken will have the chance to shed some light on this. It's about resource consumption. We all are servants. You know, in society we all render value, and therefore we're accountable for the resources that we use, which are at our disposal. And lastly, I think it is about innovation. You know, the service as a consumable thing becomes stale, becomes boring, and we must really keep replenishing the needs of society, of communities, by ensuring that we completely go back, if you like, to the drawing table and innovate. And innovation is a theme which will grow in the public sector as well. And of course, out of innovation is improvement is excellence, and so on and so forth. So that's where I would like to stop as far as my own individual perspective of the public sector. What I would like to do is share with you a case study of an organization which is probably a hybrid organization. You know, the post office, now called Consania, is publicly owned, but maybe operates in a spirit which is private sector oriented. That is entirely up to you. But from my perspective today, that is a case study that I have been associated with, and I would like to present it to you today. And as a background, I think we need to register the change in the name, and rest assured that the post office is still the post office, although we call it Consania. It is for these reasons. I think the top management and leaders of the post office have realized that, if you like, since their incorporation as a government-owned public company, they have now the chance to rebuild themselves, and they have the freedom to invest in this business and going for joint ventures, acquire businesses and expand internationally. And I think that what they wanted to do is use this as a platform to relaunch themselves and to determine their future by rising to the challenge, but also by competing internationally. That is the reason why they've changed the name. And if you like, this is the prediction. They think that their market is about distribution of letters, of parcels, whatever it is, and they reckon that the growth in the market over the next 10 years is going to grow by about 60%, 120%, sorry, 20 billion to 57 billion, and they want a chunk of that. So the brand name is very important in that sense, because it is a way of, if you like, internationalizing what they do, and it is to give them distinctiveness with the business ethos that they have, and the identification not just with the UK-based customers, but with international customers. That's the background, basically. And I think that this is a nice statement from them. They said the name gives us a standing from our competitors, particularly internationally. It will enable us to position ourselves in modern integrated distribution company, provided tailored and global business solutions. Very nice language, but why not? The post office existed for a very long time. but they want to keep reinventing themselves to serve the needs of a modern business community, international business community. What I'm interested in is the Post Office Counters Limited, who are a subsidiary of the Post Office, wholly owned. It is an organization that all of us, again, use on an everyday basis. We buy a stamp, we bank in our money, we draw money, whatever it is. We retail, we buy envelopes and stuff like that. They have 170 different types of transactions, and they deal with something like 28 million customers weekly. They handle a lot of cash, and that's why that machine is churning out money. 127 billion of cash every year. And their turnover is 1.17 billion pounds. And these figures are old. Forgive me, I didn't have time to look at the most updated one. But that's not the reason for not talking about them. Their mission is to run the UK's large retail chain. That might change with time, with a new change in the name. They offer, as I said, a distinctive range of services to us as individuals, but also to corporate customers. And if you just bear with me, I will tell you the kind of customers that they deal with. People like ourselves, but also clients like Benefits Agency, DVLA, British Telecom, Gyrobank, Royal Mail, and so on and so forth. So they have corporate customers and members of the public like ourselves. These are, out of the 170 transactions that the Post Office deal with, these are the kind of processes where the transactions come from. Mails, telecommunication, lotteries, other retail stationaries, paying bills, buying your insurance from the Post Office, opening a saving account with them, banking your money, etc., etc. So they offer a wide range of services to all of us. They employ a lot of people, over 12,000 people. They are positioned in 7 geographical regions. They have nearly 20,000 offices. 600 of those are owned by the Post Office Counters itself, and the rest are franchises or sub-post offices. Okay? That's in terms of background. What I want to talk to you about now is really quality service provision within the Post Office Counters Limited. I think, it may surprise some of you, but they were one of the first pioneers with quality in the UK, because total quality management in the UK was not evident until the late 80s, and they were one of the very first pioneers, because at that time they launched something called Customer First Program, which had a lot of undertakings and a lot of, if you like, of charters and commitment, basically rendering better service, working more efficiently, creating relationships with customers, being more professional in what they do, and very, very exciting language in those years. And they continued that journey. They didn't stop. It wasn't a fad for them. It was part and parcel of modernization and building a culture of service provision. And now they're using the excellence model, and maybe Ken will refer to it, with the aspiration for being excellent and as a vehicle for driving their strategies and inducing change programs to remain competitive. The case study is about a project called the Customer Advisor Project. Now, this is a project which was launched a few years ago to improve service in the retail outlets that they have. And they wanted to improve the service at no additional cost to us as customers. How can we make it more pleasant? How can we make it more efficient? How do we get rid of queues? And the queues thing is very important here. So where do we start from? Where are we now? We must start by documenting our processes. So we must map those processes. And we want to learn from the best. Now, they went and looked at the retail sector. They looked at, I think, Sainsbury's. They were not very impressed. They went to a couple of banks. They were not very impressed. And they started to look abroad. Are there any additional identical partners to us that we could learn from? in terms of providing service excellence. So they used the benchmarking methodology, which guided them towards being ready for driving that project. And these are the steps: identify the partners, carry out the data analysis, do the visits, what are the learnings, the best practices, how to implement them, and lastly, how do you make those new ideas, fresh ideas, part and parcel of the culture of the organization. That's the process. And there is a documented methodology which they have adapted, basically using their own individual language. Now the surprising thing, this is the process basically when they documented it. It looked very complex, very cumbersome. It really was, if you like, a high-level process map rather than something that can be used as a chunk, which is benchmarkable. Yeah, and I'm not going to go through that detail. You know, that was complex. So they narrowed it to this process here, which is about the queues. And those of you who used to visit the post office on a frequent basis, the biggest irritation was queues, wasn't it? You take lunchtime break to go and post a letter or buy a stamp, and guess what? You miss out on your lunch because the queue was too long. How many of us in this room have experienced that? Okay, I mean, as I said, now it's this principle of the mountain cannot come to Mohammed, Mohammed has to go to the mountain, is well practiced. You see it in the airlines when you go for check-in, people come and try to streamline and move the queues forward by helping you and making sure you're ready. I mean, if you go to America, because in immigration, for example, they come and check you out so that, you know, the queues move fast. Burger King, people come and take your order while you're in the queue. So I think it has caught on, but it's a simple aspect, because what they've done, they tackled the queuing management system because from surveying the customers, this is the biggest irritation factor that we all had to endure for a long time to come. So, in place? I mean, I've been lots of post offices, I've been the same way. Well, I think they were implementing it region by region. So, I mean, I think what they're trying to do now is continue with that drive. That was a pilot. That was really immediately after they've learned from America. So, I'm going to ask you that question at the end. But nonetheless, what I would like to say is that this customer advisor, or as the Americans called it, the lobby director program, has actually led to a lot of benefits. People complain less because their problems are dealt with, because the customer and focus on the customer is the most important thing. The queues have been reduced, and 53% decrease in complaints because of queues. 62% increase in compliments, so staff are more helpful and therefore they're getting the rewards because people recognize that. The service provision is much faster because it's more streamlined. You know precisely what you're coming for, you know precisely where you need to go to. And the politeness thing, the professionalism. So I think that it's a simple program, but you can see the benefits that it has led to. I think what I wanted to say is that programs such as this would not have succeeded within the post office unless they because they have committed to quality in the early stages. So I'm more interested in that growth curve, if you like, the green one, and those are the figures I have. You know, you may tell me otherwise, but forgive me, that's the trend I have, which is a little bit dated, I know. But it tells you that with quality maturity, you become more daring, because you start to recognize more and more that the customer comes first. And then you set ambitious targets, but the delivery, if it is process driven, if it is customer focused, is going to meet those targets time and time again. And being brave to measure, because you know, this way of measuring independently, objectively, how the customer feels about the service they're receiving is the most gratifying thing, because that's they are saying it. It's not you trying to give yourselves a pat on the shoulder. Other things is benchmarking, and again they benchmarked themselves with the competitors like banks, building societies, W.H. Smith, Boots, and the sub-post offices, the franchises. And again, you can see, I'm interested in the green peaks there. You can see a trend, a positive trend. It's not the benchmark. You know, they're not saying we're better than banks or building societies, but they are saying that we're closing that gap, we're improving on a regular basis. And I think that needs to be applauded, because that is the sustainability thing that you want to generate, because there is commitment to the customer and commitment to quality. They are also using the excellence model, as I said, and their scores are improving significantly. Obviously, I think now they're around 600 points. It's very difficult to get 700 points plus, because that's world class, that's award-winning score. But nonetheless, these scores are a demonstration of that commitment and, if you like, the quality that they put in place. So, the question, as you said, is, have you seen any queues at the post office lately?
All over the country, I'm not sitting advisor.
Yes. So, you know, I just wanted basically to do this prelude to Ken's session because the public sector can rise to the challenge. And I think here's an organization that has taken a very simple challenge, trying to listen to the customer, trying to do something about it. It may take a long time to see the perfect post office or the perfect service provision in post offices, but nonetheless, I think those of us who have been following them over the years have noticed significant changes, and those changes need to be applauded. They're not perfect, but they're on their way to become better. All right, so on this note,
I hope you have enjoyed this session, and indeed I hope you have managed to derive some key lessons and perhaps some prompts from the conceptual side of adopting excellence and from the application that you have just witnessed. Thank you.